everyone, Zane the Penmeister here, back with another episode of Behind the Screen. And today with me, we actually have Cameron, Invader, and Amber as usual, but we actually have a new guest joining us today. Gage, would you like to say hello?
Hello, my name is Gage. I go by Animated Grim online, but just call me Gage, as I like to go by. And
You're fine, kiddo.
am not
Do you have
good
anywhere
on
where the lovely
stream,
people at home can find you?
As of currently, you cannot really find me anywhere because I have not posted anything, but you can find me on Twitter at...
That's an interesting
I don't know
handle.
what my Twitter is. Crap.
That's fine, neither do I.
Don't know what my Twitter is. Crap at x.com. All right, well...
It's going to be my old username. It's Reaper Animates.
All right.
That's my old username.
Well, today we are going to
official
do
_
something a
Reaper
little different.
Animates.
Instead of me and Cameron asking questions, everyone asking a couple questions here and there, we're actually going to do a round robin system, see how that works. So I think today we'll start with Gage.
Get thrown in
Ask
the
us
deep end.
anything.
Oh, fun. Oh. So,
What do you want to know about DMing?
I was not prepared for this. Oh, so what are the basics? Like, what is important to know
Players
but
are
is
cats.
easy to remember?
Good luck herding them. Sorry, that's a joke. That's a joke.
GM is God, Gaming Operations Director, which means at the end of the day, what the GM says goes. Players can ask for a call. Players can make requests of, hey, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I make this happen? But at the end of the day, it's your call.
I think for me it would be
Understood.
for you to know. Damn it, I had it on the top of my head just a moment ago. Oh yeah, no matter how much you prepare, get ready to be prepared to throw it out the window.
As stated earlier, even as a joke, your players are cats. Good luck herding them.
Also,
When it
be prepared to make stuff up on the go.
Yes.
I can guarantee that whatever you have planned for, they will decide to do the
I'm
one
good
thing
at
you
that.
did not.
Yeah. Have fun.
Most important thing.
Like, as much as we're making jokes, at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy the game, even as a DM, you have a right to say, hey guys, I'm not enjoying this. For whatever reason, maybe the pace of the game is too slow, maybe it's too fast, maybe your players are acting in a way that you don't agree with, whatever that could be. Maybe you've got a problem player. Maybe you're beginning to feel like the problem player. And you just need to hear it from the other players, like, hey, am I causing problems for you guys? Don't be afraid to chat and just check in with people and say how you're feeling about the game and raise any concerns. Because if you don't do that, you're not going to enjoy the game, your players aren't going to enjoy the game, it's going to collapse, and you're going to end up hating the hobby.
So there are 4 roles at my table. Number 1, like I said, GM is God. Number 2, we set ground rules session 0. And these are the things we're comfortable with. These are the things we're not comfortable with. These are the things we're not going to allow type things. These are important discussions to start from the beginning. That way, the discussions are always open when something comes up. Because it's never a matter of if, it's always a matter of when. Number 3, technically, is the GM is a player too. A different type of player, but the GM is still a player. And it is as important for you to have fun and play the game as it is for the players. It is not the GM versus the players, it is the GM and the players. And then finally, we tell this to players all the time, but it's just as important for a GM. It is okay to walk away from the table. If the table is toxic, or if something isn't working out, or if it's just not a fun game, it's okay to say, this isn't working, and walk away.
Another thing for me is, don't be afraid to unimmerse yourself a little if you need to have a serious talk with your players. Don't be afraid to unimmerse yourself in the middle of a session. Because it's easy to just get right back into it. If you need to back out and say, hey, guys, this is serious, yada, 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 yada. Or if it's like, hey, guys, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed at the moment. Can we go like one at a time? Don't be afraid to do that. All right. Going down the list, Cameron, do you have any questions for us?
So I think this is okay. Here's one. This one, I'm gonna ask our more experienced DMs to answer first. So
Okay.
then, just because then that way those who have not DM'd can hear those answers and then possibly give an idea, develop an idea themselves. When developing a location, what is your first priority? So let's say for a city, what is your first priority when it comes to a city?
NPCs relevant to the story is my first priority. I get those figured out first.
The bare bones basics. Name, size of the city, key locations. And yes, key NPCs.
I would say as well a rough layout. Have an idea of what the city roughly looks like. Don't be afraid to just make stuff up on the spot. Because I have come up with cities on the fly. Another thing to consider as well is the climate. So I would say consider the area around the city. Is it a mountainous region? Is it flat plain? Just because when it comes to describing how the city looks, it's going to help if you look at the geography of the area around, because then that way that gives you an idea of what the city is going to look like. If the city is in a mountainous region, chances are the buildings are going to be made out of stone. If it's next to a forest, buildings are going to be made out of wood.
If it's in a plains area, they're most likely going to be made out of mud.
Out of
mud
dwarf.
bricks. Yeah.
More expensive buildings will certainly be made out of the pricier materials. Also consider how is transport? What's the transportation like in the area? If most people are riders, the city's probably not going to have walls because people are going to want to get in and out of the city fairly quickly. If the city is by a major river or by the coast, consider what the harbor's going to look like. Yes.
Go right ahead.
May I add something? So, when you said based on climate, wouldn't that also like
Yeah.
based off the clothing? That would base off the clothing, right? So like if it's snowy, then
Yeah.
they'd probably have heavy clothing. If it's like a more deserty region, they'd probably have lighter clothing.
Also, depending. Oops, sorry, go ahead.
And how easy it is to live. Like if it's like a more poor area, it'd probably be harder to live.
Yeah.
And if it's a more rich area, it'd be easier to live depending on the wealth of the
Another thing to
NPCs.
consider is what the population's demographics are. If there is for example, if there's a large halfling population, then the city is going to be a bit more cottagecore-y. Buildings are going to be smaller. There's going to be a lot of hill residences. Maybe the halflings have dug little houses for themselves into the dirt. If it's a elven city, then elves tend to have quite majestic architecture, so expect a lot of tall pillars, a lot of circular houses.
A lot of greenery.
Yeah. Of course, you could completely ignore the race part and just take from other cultures. Elven Vikings? Why not? Malinese dwarfs? Go right ahead.
Dwarven Canadians.
That's a dangerous idea.
It is.
Oh yeah.
Oh god. No, Canadian dwarves that have giant Canadian geese as flying mounts.
Oh my goodness.
That's just wrong. On so many levels.
You know what those dwarves will be like? Geneva Convention. More like Geneva Suggestion.
No, Geneva checklist. They look at it and go, we've done that, we've done that, we've done that. Still led by Brian Blessed, of course. Flash Gordon. Flash Gordon, the RPG.
Invader, do you have anything to add for this?
No, I'm in complete agreement with all this genuinely, and it is useful information for the day I actually DM.
Which we look forward to.
All right. Next on the
You've
list
got some
is
very good ideas, mate.
Amber.
Thank you. Oh my, that sounds so disingenuous, but like that was actually genuine. That really did
Hey,
give me a boost there.
the Amotentia campaign is a great idea. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that wrong, but
So my question's a little more generic. It's more for the player side of things because we do all play as well. What is that one item you have to have in your bags that is not something everybody thinks of?
As a character, as a player.
As a character. Although as a player works too.
Dream Journal.
As a player, a spare character sheet for someone. Spare blank character sheet. I mean, there's my answer to. Okay, this is going to sound silly. But as a character, a folding boat.
You brought this up last week.
Yes. I'm obsessed with the folding boat. Also, I would love to see brought back the 10-foot pole.
Gage, Invader. What's that one item that you as a character need to have for you, that you have that no one else really thinks of?
Same boat.
I'm not sure.
Same floating boat.
Same folding boat.
Yeah,
I think for me, it's chalk.
indeed.
Comes in far more handy than people realize, especially when you are actually in a dungeon or cave.
So, did you just say as a
Great
snack?
snack.
He did, yes.
Or when you've got
Okay.
heartburn. I mean, seriously. It happens.
Yes, I
mean,
did.
chalk isn't
Great snack.
bad for you.
It's not recommended to eat it. I was about to say we're not Marines, then I remembered that's crayons.
Chalk is actually was used in place of stuff like Alka-Seltzer before. So it is
Also-
used for heartburn.
It's also what's used for toothpaste.
I think you're thinking charcoal.
A type of chalk as well.
Really?
Yeah, passed by an island in Greece many moons ago that they were mining because the island had a massive deposit of chalk, which is going to be used for toothpaste. Better than urine.
Urine would technically work, but that's not something you'd want in your mouth.
It's what the Romans used.
Yeah, and they also use dry sponge on a stick to wipe their ass.
No, that was moss.
Oh, moss. Okay.
Um,
But yeah, I have a question for everybody.
Okay.
This is more veered to the ones who haven't DM'd yet or are newer to it. What are your biggest concerns for that first session?
Cooperation of players.
That's not a concern with me since I would DM people I know personally. And I know they would, if I were to DM, they'd go easy on me, knowing like, okay, it's his first time. We'll go easy on you. Not in the way you're thinking, Amber. I mean, like, y'all wouldn't like look at me. Y'all wouldn't like look at me if I stumbled over a word while like y'all wouldn't like laugh at me if I stumbled over a word while narrating. Is what I mean.
the thing is, you looked at Amber. I had the exact same thought process.
No, I'm always willing to help a new GM. I have a tendency to go out of my way and co-GM games for people early on, to help them get comfortable with it. What about you, Gage? Or Invader?
My biggest concern lies with me. I'm scared that, how do I put this in one word?
Use as many words as you need.
I'm scared that I'll blank out on a detail that's important for a player or for the session. That is a make or break detail. And
Cameron,
that's
how
my
many times have I done that?
Yes. I've done it too.
It happens.
Yeah.
I've done it for Blight of RN.
You can always go back after the fact and say, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, or this might help you to know, that type of thing. It happens.
Or
it happens
you
to
could-
every GM, no matter how long we've been doing it.
You could even make a campaign story out of it. There's one that was put on Tumblr that circles the internet and reappears every few months, of a guy who did a flashback of a major city in their campaign, mentioned that there was a mountain in the background, and in the present day of the setting, the mountain wasn't there because they had just completely forgotten about the fact that they had said there's no mountain. And then in the flashback, they said there is. So the players went, what happened to the mountain? Why is the mountain gone? And so the DM had to go, oh, sherbet, I've now got to come up with that. So that they went, oh, that could be a good story point, rather than just saying, oh, that was a mistake on my part.
There is
Yeah.
no mountain in Ba Sing Se.
Yeah, God knows we've all done it.
Yeah.
And
I'm
when I-
also scared of my stutter ruining campaigns. Because, like, you've noticed when I play Patch, I have a bad stutter. I stammer.
we actually don't notice.
No. Never
Really?
noticed it.
Yeah.
Not when you're playing. I'll hear it every once in a while in these behind the screen episodes where you'll like repeat the end of a word a couple times.
Honestly, I don't even hear it then. Like,
I've got a
seriously,
stutter.
it's not as noticeable as you think.
No,
Yeah.
the only reason I heard it is because I've listened attentively to everything around me.
I think it's just one of those things where I go back and rewatch old episodes, refresh my memory of where we are in the campaign. It's like I hear it act up, and I'm like, oh, I wish I delivered that so differently. So basically, my biggest fear with DMing stems from my fear of public speaking. That
And
is
you know
the
what?
biggest thing.
That is perfectly normal. I
Totally
think we
legit.
all struggle with that at some point. I'm actually going to bounce back to Gage's concern for a second. Controlling the players or really working with the players. That is what your session 0 is for. You set the ground rules, you set the expectations. And if players don't meet those or don't keep to those, it is perfectly reasonable to ask them to leave the table. Or to sit down and remind them, hey guys, this is what we talked about in session 0. Do we still want to stick with that, or do we need to change how we're going to do this?
I think it's Invader's turn for a question.
I think you're right.
Yep.
Mitzi, why are
All
you
right.
being a little shit today?
Cat cam. It's adorable though.
So, Invader, you had questions.
Yeah, I did.
Bringing it back. Bringing it back.
Reel it back.
Somebody's got to do it.
Don't worry, it didn't actually hurt myself.
So they asked about someone asked, I forget who, about making cities and stuff. And I genuinely think this is a question for the DMs, by the way. I genuinely think making the cities will be the easiest part for me because I like making worlds and stuff. But my question is, what is your process when you go about writing plot threads / the overarching narrative of the campaign?
I have 6 bullet points for an arc of a campaign. And however we get there, we get there.
Bullet points.
Yeah.
The beginning, the end, and a few key things in the middle, as well as the kind of clues that are going to lead you in the right direction. Hopefully.
Yeah. It
Possibly.
takes like 20 minutes to get your whole story plotted out. It's just the in-between that takes forever.
I take
Yeah.
a little longer than that, but not much.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I come up with story plots over weeks and weeks, but it takes me like 20 minutes to get it all written out.
I have a beginning, I have an end, I have plot points that I want to happen. That's it.
Pretty much.
No reason. Yeah. No, but yeah, that is a good one as well.
Thank you.
But yeah, Gage, that's back to you. Yeah, it's been 30 minutes. Yes.
It has. This goes pretty quick. You would be surprised.
Steal it from somewhere else.
Shut up. You know nothing of my work.
Uh-huh.
When you name your villain Lord Moldy Shorts, it's kind of easy to tell.
Yeah. I mean, seriously.
It's not my fault that you were struggling as students of Schmunkwarts.
With Professor Fumblemore.
And the Tabaxi Transfiguration Professor.
And Perry Hodder.
You know what's funny? Even though I'm not a DM, I think I could also answer this question with all y'all's.
Yeah, anyone can. But seriously, do take points from other points of media. It's real. It'll help you build your villains. You don't have to take everything. You can take one little thing from here, a little thing from there. Other media is a great place for villains, for storylines, for anything.
Go for one or two key points that you know are going to upset people, but that are not going to make them extremely angry.
Like a little girl being pulled into a portal to hell.
Oh no, I was ready to come through the computer at you.
Yeah. I was sat here thinking, I wasn't sat here thinking, oh god, we failed. I was sat here thinking, Amber's going to kill you.
You know it's a good session when one of the players wants to kill the DM.
You saved yourself by telling me that Chirp was okay.
Yeah, Chirp's okay. That's all y'all know. Chirp is okay.
But that gives me enough that I think the kid's okay.
I mean, Lord Talos is like hiding her in the realm, so we know. So like for him to say like, I'll hide her.
Santos.
Something for me is when you're coming up with the campaign, it depends on what kind of campaign you want to run that will influence your villain. But at the end of the day, give your villain a reason to be a villain. This may sound silly, but if you have a villain that actually has a reason behind it, that villain is going to be 100 times more believable, 100 times more acceptable, and 100 times more fun. If you have a game that is if you have a game where two nations are going to war because the big bad evil wants to rule over both of them, so when one side is significantly weak, when both sides are significantly weakened, they'll come in and take over. That's a really good villain to have, because now they've got their purpose. Their purpose is get the war to happen, and then when the war is over, sweep in and finish it off. If you've got a Maybe that villain has. You could even try and make your villain almost. What's the word I'm looking for? When you almost want to go on their side.
Likeable.
Likeable. So you could have it so that the villain is maybe the villain. Let's say the villain is trying to find an object that allegedly. Maybe the villain's trying to find a genie. Trying to find a genie's lamp. And the reason they're doing that is because they want the genie to give the they want to use a wish from the genie, because it turns out they want to bring back someone from the dead. It could be that the villain who is causing the war, the reason between the two sides, the reason they're doing that is because when they come in, their plan is to remove the two corrupt monarchs in charge and completely rebuild the system. It could be that someone, maybe the reason it could be the reason that you have this general that used to be this brilliant person has turned against everything. Maybe they've got someone being held hostage, and they are doing what they're doing because they'll get their loved one back. If you give your villain a reason to be the villain, that villain is going to be a lot more fun. There isn't a villain out there that is both good and doesn't have a reason. Even the Joker has a reason for what they do.
He wants to make the Batman look.
Yeah.
Motive is everything.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
It's something a lot of beginner authors forget as well, is it's easy enough to give the hero the motive. Bring down the big bad evil. But the big bad evil has to have a reason as to why they're the big bad evil. If the big bad evil doesn't have a reason, then why are they the big bad evil? That being said, the motive doesn't have to be relatable. That's the word I was looking for. If you create a genocidal maniac of a villain, and the players are being tasked to bring down the genocidal maniac, that's fine. The big bad evil doesn't have to be relatable. They just need to be. It's like, I want to wipe out I just want to wipe everyone out because I'm tired. That's still a reason to be. That's still a motive.
They don't need to be sympathetic. It just has to be a motive to make them feel
Real.
more like a villain.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, the example I have, that encounter I mentioned in, like, the last one of these I was in. The Love City, as I call it. The idea I have is his motive is he just wanted to be loved, and he was not, charming enough to get it his own. So when he found out how to make people love him, he keeps it. and takes that in to be, to be like a rock star-esque personality in this town. Everyone loves him, and he loves being loved.
I mean, it makes sense.
But but on the flip side, you would play it like I would play it, you don't feel sympathy for him, because again, he's forcing everyone, including children and babies, to love him.
Yep.
Don't need sympathy. They just need a good motive.
Yeah.
That was Gage's question, right?
I believe so, yes.
All right, then that's going to be your question now, Cameron.
Shit. Sorry. Okay. I think I'll gear this towards... Okay. This is one that I have an answer for, but also could be... This one could be answered as both a player and a DM. What's the best way to start off session 1? So this is the start of the campaign. You've had your session 0, you've had the talk, everybody's ready to play, and cue scene 1. How do the players meet?
Honestly, my favorite way it's been done so far is how Zane did it for us in Varan, where we each go through the basics of leaving home and how we got to the city, and then we're at the docks. We bump into each other there, and then we all end up over at the
Leaky Mermaid.
Thirsty
Yeah.
Mermaid.
Thursday Mermaid.
Same
Leaky
thing.
Mermaid's the one opposite the street.
Opposite the street is where the mermaids live.
Yeah.
Oh.
Gage had to disappear.
Totally understand. I
Yep.
know he's got other plans.
I'm with you, Amber, on that one. That was such a good way to like introduce the party, but also establish how the characters like connected and ended up on the quest together. Because it was just a stroke of convenience, and like I guess convenience is the right word.
Yeah. It was a really
That,
well done way.
It
that we
was,
all just
and
ended up in the same room, and then it's like everyone just shrugged. It's like, fuck it. Okay, we're all here. Might as well try to save that girl.
You got me in
not just
tears. You got me in fucking tears.
not just that, but it gave us a reason to be there, and not just, oh, you walk into a tavern.
Yeah.
It still played
Because-
off the trope, you'll walk in a tavern, but it shows a little bit before that.
But that
Plus-
can make a huge difference.
It connects us
Plus
to the
us-
characters, is what it is.
Plus, us interacting with the guy who, like, the dockman gave us a chance to showcase each character's, like, first aspect of their personality in a beautiful way. Like, we all got to interact with that guy we had to give the money to in different, unique ways that all suited that fit each character perfectly well, allowing us to essentially establish, okay, this is who we are, this is what we're like, let's meet each other now, boys.
Y'all legit got me in tears.
Oh,
You're a fun GM.
Yeah.
exactly. Zane, I'm gonna tell you this. You're the second DM I've ever had. This is the most fun I've had playing D&D since my first session, my first campaign.
One of my favorite ways I ever got a campaign started was to, as a DM, I literally gave the players a reason to work together almost immediately, which is what you did with Amelia. Mine was a bit less gut-wrenching. Basically, my players got approached by the innkeeper, because what happened was, as they were looking at a notice board for work, the innkeeper had a complaint about a recent supply of ale from a local brewer's, and was complaining that it had been watered down immensely. And he looked at the adventurers and said, "Would you guys like a job?" And they said, "Sure." And he said, "Awesome. Go find out what's going on at the brewers and why we're struggling to get decent ale." And it allowed the players to explore themselves as a group and how to and let them interact with one another as they were making their way towards the brewery. It's the same sort of idea that I was going for when I did the one shot, and you guys already had a job when you got into the city to meet Gary.
Yeah.
But I will say that was a really good intro on your part as well, Zane. Just to let this tears even more.
Another really good intro I had, and I think about this one a lot too. Third ever campaign I was in, all the characters just woke up in the middle of a graveyard. All equidistance from each other, like in a general circle around each other. One by one, they all woke up. And it's like, I like how that introduction works, because again, I like introductions that give the characters a chance to showcase core aspects of their personality to establish, okay, this is who this character is. Because literally, I was the first person to get up, and I was the first person to approach someone, and literally my character leaned down in an unsettling way, grinned at the character, and is like, "Well, hello there, winged boy. Fancy meeting you here." And the character was like, "Nope, get the fuck away from me."
Bow, 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 bow.
I think for me, my favorite way that as a player I was introduced into a campaign, I was joining midway through this campaign because a friend of mine, he was starting up a D&D group. He had started up a D&D group, and after a couple months, one of his players moved away, and so he asked me, and I got to join my first ever D&D campaign. The way they introduced me was I literally fell out of the sky off of an airship and landed on one of the players.
That's a
how
good
I
way of
was.
doing it.
Well,
Note
my
that down
character
for
was
later.
a stowaway, so they threw him overboard, and he just got lucky enough to land on one of the players. That was a fun way to do it. All right, now I think it's Amber's question.
Um. Hmm.
this is going to be the first episode of Behind the Screen where I don't ask the newest person on the behind
Oh,
the
yeah.
screen what their favorite food and drink is.
I mean, you had your chance.
I did, but I was going to ask him that as the next question. Then he had to leave.
There
I'll
is
ask
that.
him next. I'll ask him next time he's on.
What's your favorite color dragon?
Silver. Gold. Definitely a silver. Definitely a silver dragon.
Not gold.
Was
Bronze.
that bronze? Okay.
I love me bronze dragons. I love the sea. And I should explain. Yes, there's Amber's dragon. So I should explain to the listeners. When is it okay if I share why he was created?
Go right ahead.
So Amber was in hospital over the holidays, unfortunately, and to entertain Amber, because I was also studying, I was looking at dragons in the monster manual. I created our latest adopted little one, Albus the Protector, a bronze dragon. And Albus was looking after Amber whilst she was in the hospital, and now is a welcomed and a lovely addition to the family. So, Albus the Protector is our baby bronze dragon that both knows way more than they let on and doesn't know enough. Considering they have scrolls from the Library of Alexandria.
What about you, Invader? What's your favorite dragon color?
I am biased because my favorite dragon color is gold. Not for ever encountering a gold dragon, but because one of my friends played a gold dragon, Dragonborn,
Nice.
and that character was best friends with my character, and it was some of the funnest dynamics I ever had. Genuinely. So I'm
always-
biased.
I think that's a fair bias, to be fair.
It's
Yeah.
always fun when you click with a player, when you like act as your characters and just somehow, you don't know how, those characters just click. Not
Yeah.
unprompted, unplanned. You're just acting as the character and somehow they click.
It's basically how Laia and Patch got together.
Exactly. Unplanned, just click.
It happens. It definitely happens.
It's funny though. Every time I play D&D with my former table, the person who played the Dragonborn, without fail, every time they made a character and I made a character, both our characters somehow clicked. I don't know how they always clicked, but
Y'all
somehow both of us always clicked in our characters. To the point, the third campaign we were in, we were planning a romance arc between the two of them.
That's
Hey.
brilliant.
It just means you're clicking IRL.
I mean, yeah, we're really close friends.
I've got a question for y'all. I don't remember what it was.
Generally helps.
Yeah.
Sorry, the snarky bitch in
yeah.
me came out there.
What was your favorite character arc you've ever had as a player?
I think for me it is my current Saturday game where she was trapped in a crystal for 200 years, and she just recently found out that all of her friends from 200 years ago are also trapped in crystals. So she is on this war path to get them all back.
Cameron, Invader.
It's been too long since I was a player to not just say what lie is going through at the moment. This is the curse of being a forever DM.
I mean, we haven't even gotten to your character arc yet.
I know, and that's the scary part.
And we've just started queues.
I mean, there is also, we don't have to stick with D&D, Cam.
Yeah, I just said
Defi-
character arc.
Yeah.
That's all I said.
I mean, David Anthony in Delta Green, in the Delta Green one-shots that I've played him in with Amber and others, has been brilliant, because that's unintentionally, that's how I got Amber. I think, honestly, I think another good one for me would be Dr. Caleb Yates, who started off as a player character, but I wasn't having a lot of fun playing him. So I turned him into an NPC, and now he is the G-Man, the Observer, the Time Lord of every single of my own mini Delta Green canon.
He's your BBEG.
He's not, but he's done nothing but good.
Uh-huh.
He pointed out where what are they called? Crosswater was developing nanite technology that had gone rogue.
And I have to keep going in and cleaning up his messes.
He also helped. He also was the one to help out with the to point out the oil rig with the portal to the other dimension in it.
And again, I had to go clean it up.
He's not the William Bell of my stories.
But I keep having to clean up after him.
Because he can't get involved.
Uh-huh.
For reasons known only to him.
What about you, Invader?
Every day I'm upset that my third campaign fell through, because I genuinely liked where her arc was going. But I'd have to say the third campaign I was ever in, I played a halfling barbarian. Not a halfling, a high elf barbarian who, in a cyberpunk universe, hated augmentations to one's body.
They were the Jackie Wells.
Basically. And I essentially was having an arc of, because like she comes from like a tech-based family who like made a bunch of like technology for this area. And I basically was having an arc of her accepting the sides of her that are knowledgeable about this. And essentially, being the strong badass she is, but also accepting the other facets of her. And it all started when she started falling in love with this Warforged character. And she just got her robot arm, and she was planning to augment that robot arm and that's when the campaign fell through. When I was starting up the things to get a gun arm. Because I talked about it with the DM, and the DM was like, yeah, I'll give you a gun arm.
Damn. What do you think? After Invader, we get one more round of questions?
Sounds
Sure.
like
Sounds
All right.
fun. Fair.
Invader? What's your question for us?
Okay. I've mentioned it twice, and I'm genuinely curious. What are y'all's opinions on PC on character romance between two PCs? And if you're okay with it, how do y'all's go about it when playing?
Well, I have no issues with it. But as a DM, I've never had players try to do player-on-player romance. I've actually not even sat at a table with a player-on-player romance. So I have not seen that dynamic at all in my almost a decade of playing D&D.
I always say whenever I have a game, regardless of the setting, because I have two answers to this. One is PC on NPC romance, and the other is PC on PC romance. If two players want to develop a romantic relationship between their characters, both sides need to consent. This is my big thing, because whilst I can trust my players, I want them to know that, hey, it's always nice to say, hey, if you're not comfortable with this, it's not going to happen. Because in that way, if someone is I'm not going to say as if someone's trying to force it, but if someone doesn't quite get the hint, as it were, then I can give them a slap on the wrist and say, hey, stop it. Because I'm fairly lenient towards people flirting with my NPCs, because I probably won't realize they're doing it, because the asexuality is real. If you I always say to players, if you have a PC on NPC romance and I'm not comfortable with it, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about it. If there's a PC on PC romance and the other player is not comfortable, I am more like it will stop, or you're out the game. That is because I can be stupid and not realize it, but there's a very good chance that other players will notice it. And if they come up to me and say, hey, I didn't like this, how this person was doing it, or even if they say it in the middle of the game of, hey, I'm not comfortable with this, stop the game and go, right, we're going to sort this out. I will not be afraid to kick someone out mid-game if they are making someone uncomfortable by making romantic advances as their character towards another player's character, because you never are 100% certain if it's the character flirting with the character or the player flirting with the player. And if the player is flirting with, like when Amber and I got together, it started off as character versus character on character. But it did become player to player.
there was a lot of discussion in there and a lot of
Yeah.
talking and figuring things out as we went.
Yeah.
Uh.
Because at the end of the day, if Amber had said to me, "Could you please stop?" I would have. Because
I think
I'm
there
not,
were points where we both asked, double checked to make sure we weren't going too far.
yeah. Because at the end of the day, I wanted Amber comfortable, and I would do. It's not that I'm not saying that Amber's the only person I would do this for, but I will check in with someone and go, "Hey, just checking to make sure that this is okay." Because we're both sensible adults. As much as we like to joke otherwise, we are sensible about this, and we want to make sure that everybody is happy.
Yeah.
It just wound up that we ended up together.
Yeah, I am totally okay with in-game romance, but if I see it happening, I will pull the players aside after session or beside session and be like, can we set some ground rules? I want to make sure everybody's comfortable, and not just you guys. I want to make sure everybody at the table is comfortable, because these things can affect the entire table, and it's important to make sure that anybody potentially involved is okay.
Yeah.
%100% agree.
Now I believe it's Cameron's question.
Shit.
Doom, 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 doom.
That's not the tune I thought you were going to go with. I thought you were going to go with the Mission Impossible tune. Okay. I think my question would be, I'm gonna change it up slightly, just because we've had such a heavy, a needed, don't get me wrong, a needed, but a heavy talk.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can think of a light-hearted question to ask, that should be a good help. Okay. How do we feel about filler sessions, either as players or DMs? Meaning that a filler session being one that doesn't necessarily advance the campaign, but stuff happens in it regardless, such as character development, maybe, or social interaction. It could even just be an entire thing where everybody goes shopping.
Downtime is not just important, it is a necessity. Sometimes players need a break from combat or just from the crazy that crops up during a normal session. And these sessions are great for, relaxing, but they're also, you figure stuff out. Sometimes you find items that you need, or just get a chance to take care of things that you've been meaning to, but been putting off or haven't had a chance to do. So it is very important for character growth.
Definitely.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with Amber here. Filler sessions, downtime sessions can be very important to a campaign. And even if it's a filler session, like 2 or 3 of the players couldn't make it, and you decide, okay, maybe I'll talk with the remaining players, we could try to do something else. Like when we did your one shot, instead of going along with the story, and we did that one shot of yours. Or it could be, oh, we can do a little tournament that's not in the world, player on player, and the winner will get an item for the campaign, kind of thing. Which is something Critical Role has done.
You could. It's also, downtime sometimes involves going and tracking down information. You go talk to this person or that person. That's not going to be terribly difficult. And would have otherwise been boring, but with a couple of players missing, it's the perfect way to use a session to advance the storyline without anybody missing anything major.
It can also lead to some brilliant interaction between players.
Exactly.
I believe that's going to be Amber's question now.
So, in previous sessions, we've asked about your favorite spell, your favorite magic item. I think today what I want to ask about is, what is your favorite martial weapon? For me, it's a toss-up between daggers and a quarterstaff.
Quarterstaff's a simple weapon.
Sometimes simple is the best.
In fact, I think both daggers and quarterstaffs count as.
Yeah, I think they're simple weapons.
They are simple. They are, however, still effective.
They are. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm
just saying, but in the context of this, of your own question, they're not viable answers.
True. I guess Morningstar would probably be.
I gotta double check to make sure the weapon I'm thinking of is a martial weapon. Give me a second.
I should have phrased that question differently.
Maybe just what's your favorite weapon in general?
Okay.
Because then daggers and quarterstaffs still works.
I think I meant to say melee weapon.
Melee.
Melee. Okay. Yeah. Greatsword. Greatsword. Definitely a greatsword. Love them.
Daggers. 100% daggers.
At the moment, because of how I've designed Lyre, the rapier, because
speaking of which, that rapier should be done in a couple of game time days.
Yes.
Holy
Which means
shit. Our sessions have only been like 4 or 5 days in total.
Yeah, we've been busy.
Holy shit, what?
Yeah.
There have been a few times where it's been like 2 sessions to a day.
Yeah, we've been busy.
First 3 sessions was 1 day.
We have been busy.
That just hit me. That it's only been 4 days in canon.
Yeah.
We've only known each other for 4 days in the canon.
And yet 3 of us have adopted each other.
In the span of 4 days, a little girl has gotten kidnapped. We fought a fucking bandit camp.
Rescued the little girl, only to have her kidnapped again.
Only to rescue her again, and then immediately have her kidnapped again.
Sort of stopped a cult coup of the leader. Sorta.
Only to have it fail miserably on us. And that episode will be out before this one.
Yeah, this shouldn't be out until April. That episode should be out mid-March.
We have
Yeah.
buffer for behind the screen. We do not have buffer for Blight of Far Red.
Yeah, we do. We have like a 2-week buffer.
I have a lot of editing I'm still working on, so
Mm.
It hasn't even been a week yet, and we've already been through so much. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, that's why we're going back a little bit. That's why next session's a good downtime session that's going to last for about a month.
Yeah, downtime's a really good thing to have. And, if push comes to shove and you decide to be really silly about it, I mean, the joke is you could also turn it into the beach episode.
volleyball.
One time me and my old table did have a beach episode on my first campaign. And I made it canon that my character Fabio wore one of those swimsuits that those swimsuits that's essentially just one long string piece that only covers the important bits.
Oh, a mankini.
Yeah. So just imagine this buff, like ripped 6-foot half orc, green and all, wearing a fucking thin mankini.
Meant for someone the size of Laia.
Yes, and the best part,
Traumatized people.
he wore it for the rest of the campaign after that.
Well, he was a barbarian. He's just maximizing unarmored defense.
Yeah.
Also,
That
probably
also-
doesn't care.
He was a massive flirt to anything that could move. No, he didn't care if anyone saw his ghibli bits.
What was the question again?
The thing is, I'm just thinking, I recently did a commission. I should have gotten that now. I still have Laia's character model saved on Hero Forge. I could stick her in a bikini for the beach episode.
I don't think we're doing a beach episode anytime soon.
That's what you think.
I mean, if you want to spend the whole month on the beach, be my guest. But
We have
I'm
things to do.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna get a
just
commission
saying
of.
that because the climate of the country, I don't think y'all want to do a beach episode.
No.
The warmest it gets is like 5 degrees Celsius.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. That is so cold that Laia will be able to cut glass.
I'm gonna get a commission of Patch in a swimsuit, but instead of anything like normal, it's one of those like 1950s striped swimsuits
Yes!
Yeah.
that's like red and white.
Yeah, I could see.
Actually, no,
I could
green
see
and black because that's his color.
Yeah. I can actually see Laia rocking a 1950s bikini.
100%. Are we
With
still
the
on the question about weapons, by the way?
Yes.
I think so.
Well,
We
yes,
kind of went off the rails.
there were rails. My favorite. Yeah. So, rapier. How the hell did we get from weapons to bikinis?
I don't know. I don't.
I'll find out when I go back to edit. I'll find out.
So yeah, Laia likes Laia's rapiers. Her rapier is important to her. But myself, I mean, my favorite melee weapon, it's actually a melee weapon that isn't in the book. It's one that you have to make yourself. Is a crow's beak. also known as a
Hey.
it's called a bec du courbin. It's a French weapon. Effectively, you get a spear. Okay, you get a spear. It's a good thing we're not recording video. You then put two little spikes on the sides of the head of the spear. So that way when you stab forward with the spear, you get the long spear point, and then you can swing it to the side and get someone in the side with a small dagger bit.
While disemboweling the first guy.
Yeah. It then also has a hammer on the one head, so you can bring it down, smack the person on the head, stab them with the spear, disembowel them, and stab someone in the side with one of the smaller daggers. And then, and this is where it gets its name, there is effectively a scythe on the other end. So what you do with that is you stab them to hook them, pull them in, pull it out, swing the head, smack them on the head with a hammer, stab them with the spear point, disembowel them, and then cut and then stab someone in the side with the side point, spin it 90 degrees and repeat.
People have probably lost their foot on that scythe trying to practice that weapon.
Oh yeah, it is not an easy weapon to sheath. But it's my favorite weapon just because of how ridiculous it is.
Well, I was actually going to ask a question of a similar manner. What is your favorite monster, CR 1 or lower, to have?
CR1. I'm going to have to look up the list.
Oh. Did I cut out?
No.
Yeah, you did just a little bit.
Okay. What is your favorite monster that is CR 1 or lower to have as a companion?
I mean, at the moment, I
Not
think
a
we all know
weasel.
what mine is.
Both
Yeah,
Riot and Pole have a battle weasel.
That weasel's is actually a CR30.
It's got Tarask stats.
Or at least it will be when it gets back.
Yeah, it'll be a giant weasel.
Could
But
you
it
imagine that?
started as a CR1.
Could you imagine that, like, when you got sucked through a demon portal in this universe, and you've been in like the demon dimension for a while, you start absorbing demon attributes, and you start to like your body becomes like demon-like. So could you imagine like we pull Chirp out and Chirp's just like red fur and he has horns now?
I mean, Chirp's got purple fur already. Well, white and purple, but you know.
Furiously
I would
starts
not be
retyping.
surprised to find him with horns, though.
Furiously starts retyping.
Furiously deletes and retypes.
Why must you give him ideas?
I mean, that would also imply that Amelia gets like demon like form-esque.
Comes back as a tiefling.
As long as she remembers the people who helped.
Hilariously, I just checked. One of the things that I checked monsters by CR. One of them is a drow elf. So could I have that as a companion?
I did say CR1
Her toy boy.
Laya is Patch's favorite companion.
On a genuine note, though, I also noticed this. Hippogriffs are a CR1.
I did not expect that.
Yep. I double checked that just for fun. So we could all have butt beaks.
No, thank you. I will stay on the ground.
Well,
Says
actually, you'd
one who
want a
plays
Thestral,
furry
wouldn't you?
characters.
Well, that's the beauty about bird characters, is that that's the beauty about D&D, is that you can pretend to be something you're not.
Yeah, that's why
And it's
I wouldn't mind playing a snake character, but you wouldn't see me touching a snake in real life.
I actually need to ask you something as well about that. Oh, you could harpies or a CR1?
Yes, there's a lot of things that are unexpected to be a CR1.
That's giving me ideas, and that's dangerous.
I believe Drugers are CR1 as well.
Would make sense. Yeah, they're right below a Dryad, which is something else. I don't know what I think it is. Yeah.
Hell no.
Lions are a CL1.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll take a lion.
a lion. Weasel, lion, and invader. What's your favorite companion?
Are spiders CR1?
They are a CR1. Yeah.
Yeah, giant spiders are
Spiders are a
CL1.
CR1.
Then giant spiders. First campaign, I fucking had my half orc tame a giant spider, and he became like the fucking face of the party mid campaign.
I need to. I've just remembered that I get a familiar. I need to choose a familiar as Galloway.
Yep.
What's the thing is, it has to be a small creature, but I also Galloway counts as a small creature. I'm half tempted.
I will not let you pick anything humanoid
No, it's not going to be humanoid. Don't worry.
or fae.
I'm
I'm
thinking-
not letting you have a fairy.
No,
That'd be
He's
scary.
already got one.
I've already got a fairy. I've already got a fae. As a vampire.
The little child that does not speak. And if y'all paid attention last session, I accidentally spoiled her name.
I actually didn't hear it, so. But no, I'm thinking with Galloway, trying to figure out a creature with a speed of 30 so that he can ride it.
Hog.
Riding dog.
No, Blink. I think Blink Dogs are CR1.
Blink dogs are, I think they're actually lower. Blink. Hang on, I've got the thing here. Blink. Yeah, they're at 0.25. So 1/4 for those of you that
Death Dogs CR1?
a death dog. Yeah. A copper dragon wormling.
That's CR1, yep. But they're medium.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you could
No.
do the fairy
Uh,
dragons.
before we get too far off track
But
again,
hey, we're still, at least this time the tangent isn't too far off.
at least this time we know how we got here.
Yeah.
But, Invader, your last question.
I could have a weasel.
You could have a fairy dragon.
We'll talk about this after.
What is your process for writing a character?
How much edge can I get away with?
Random generators. Lots and lots of random generators.
In terms of NPCs or PCs?
PCs. Make it easy.
Random generator. I will roll race, class, and then I will go to the NPC generator, and I'll just spin it a bunch until I find something I like, and then I'll base my whole character off.
I am too creative for my own good. The ADHD is a wonderful tool. It is also a curse. I basically, in my head, mentally throw a dart at the dartboard. And the dartboard is covered in character ideas. And then the race and the class actually serve the story idea. So, it could be that most of them are sad, but some of them could be just genuinely nice.
Is Galloway sad?
Galloway's is not sad because he's got a happy family.
Yeah.
He's good. He's just trying to cover up a family secret. He's trying to fix the wrong of a family. Because I was thinking, with Galloway, he's going to be extremely broken on account of the race and class.
Yeah.
So let's give him something extremely broken to fix. And then I sent you the thing that he needs to fix.
Yeah.
And your reaction was, I hope you know you're not getting this until much later in the campaign, to which I said, no, the point is to destroy it.
Yeah. I said you're not getting this till at least level 18, didn't I?
Yeah. To which my response was, no, I need to destroy it because I was running out of necromancy spells for it.
It was...
I can tell you what I based it off of.
I'm scared.
I literally looked up what's the most powerful artifact, the legendary artifacts in the DM's guide, and it was like, that's what I'm going to use.
It's like a ring of wishes.
Yeah. Let it be known, I am evil.
On that note, gentlemen, I think
I
we're
have
at a
one
good
more
wrapping
question.
point.
Yep.
Okay, go for it.
Since typically it comes back to food on these things, what is a bizarre food combination that everyone always looks at you weirdly for, but you fucking swear it's delicious?
Pineapple on pizza.
It might be because I'm in California, but both mayonnaise on my burgers as well as mayonnaise on like tater tots and French fries.
I understand the last one. That's quite common in Belgium. Not tried mayonnaise on the burger before.
For me, it'd probably be... I have a chicken jalapeno pizza that I eat with Caesar dressing.
Sounds really good.
That doesn't sound half
Delicious.
bad.
Yeah, instead of it'd be like a chicken bacon ranch pizza with jalapenos, but instead of ranch, it's Caesar.
Nice.
I'm not very imaginative, it seems. Well, then again, I'm British. We do bland food. Trying to think now. It's like a unusual. I'm
Sour
genuinely.
cream on your
So
sour
as
cream.
an American,
uh,
I can say there is one thing Cam does that I'm still trying to come to terms with. Apparently, in other countries, it is more common to use butter on your sandwiches than mayonnaise or mustard.
Yeah.
What's
Butter
wrong
on
with
the. You put butter on both on the slices of bread for the inside, and then you put your ham and you put your cheese in, and then you close it together. And
Yeah.
if you're feeling particularly adventurous, a bit of tomato and lettuce, which I don't do because I'm not adventurous. Oh,
I use garlic butter instead of regular butter, though.
no, just plain butter.
Oh no,
But-
I've done that too. But I prefer using garlic butter over regular butter on sandwiches.
I actually have something now that I think about this. Spinach and mac and cheese.
Don't like mac and cheese, so I probably wouldn't touch that.
Also replacing spinach for the lettuce in a burger.
Yeah.
Because lettuce is a garbage leaf, and I will die on that hill.
I'll change it for spinach and kale. Both of those on a sandwich is pretty good.
What about you, Invader?
I used to make this sandwich. Like, I joke about being a large fat guy, but when I was a kid, I was like fat kid core. I used to make this sandwich that my mother hated because it was disgusting, but I thought it was delicious. I called it a Scooby-Doo because it's something Shaggy would make. I took 2 slices of bread, topped it with some ketchup on the top of the bread, put 2 slices of Taylor ham on the bread, or pork roll. It's a Jersey meat. Then I would get like little garlic bits and I would slather them on both sides, 2 slices of American cheese, barbecue sauce, maple syrup, goldfish crackers.
I'm with your
Curious.
mom on this.
Hold
Hot
on.
sauce, sriracha hot sauce. I'm not done.
This was a saucy burger or sandwich.
It was.
That's gonna dissolve.
I'm guessing you didn't have anything solid for weeks after that.
From which end?
Deal
Yes.
with it, end.
And if I was feeling adventurous, I'd also add ranch. I then
Are you
slam the
sure?
sandwich together.
Break your sandwich.
That's the Strokinator 5000 heart attack.
I either called it a Scooby-Doo or a heart attack. And then I close the sandwich up and I put it in the microwave for 5 minutes.
Ew.
If
And
you
here,
hold on, if you would have done that with the ranch would have curdled. Ew.
It added flavor.
this is reminding me of the Fool's Gold loaf. Where you take a loaf of bread, you slice it in half, lengthways, hollow it out, cover it in butter, 1 jar of peanut butter, 1 jar of jam jelly, and I think it's either a half a pound or a pound of bacon. Close that.
actually sounds pretty good.
Close that. Deep fry it.
Ew.
That's
And
too far.
and then there's your sandwich. If I recall, it's got about 5,000 calories according to the calculations.
I mean, if they toasted the bread before they put everything on, that's completely different. Like, peanut butter and jelly with bacon actually isn't that bad.
Well, yeah, it's bread, creamy peanut butter, grape jelly, and bacon. 8,000 calories approximately. My apologies.
I would say goddamn, but I feel like I could never say goddamn to a calorie count ever again after my story of the heart attack sandwich. That I would eat every day, by the way. I didn't. That wasn't a one-time thing. I would eat it. I would eat it consistently.
Your blood is just lard at that point.
How are you still alive?
I don't know.
Reminded of that joke from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, where the chef gets a blood test and they're like, "Oh, it can't be that bad," and it just goes, "They found bits of bacon in it."
If it makes it better, I would add pickles to it for vegetables.
And you would add more acidity to it?
My kidneys are screaming in fear.
My whole body hurts just hearing about it. My toilet screams in fear.
Like
your stomach, my ring piece is screaming in fear. I can feel it clenching.
Yeah.
In my defense, it was really delicious.
I mean, if you liked it, but don't eat it around me.
No, my mom hated it because she hated the smell. Because, like, I don't know if you know this, when you cook all those sauces in a microwave for 5 minutes, it stinks up the whole house.
That's why you might get a microwave outside. Just get one outside.
And then you can eat it outside.
Yeah. And then excrete it outside.
When that thing gets in, when the contents of your stomach after one of those reaches enters the North Atlantic, it's going to be a danger to shipping. Geiger counters are going to go off. They're going to think there's a leak at 3 Mile Island again.
Don't excrete it outside. We don't need a hole to the center of the earth.
I want y'all to imagine what it would smell like too.
That is
cooked ketchup and barbecue sauce with hot sauce and sriracha sauce. All the smells mixing together in a hot microwave.
Why are you cooking ketchup with barbecue sauce? There's already ketchup and barbecue sauce.
The barbecue sauce adds some spice and flavor.
All right, guys, I got to stop this here. All right.
And on that massive bombshell.
God.
Did you just say bombshell?
I mean, I don't eat it anymore. Does that make it better?
No, it's still in your system.
The only reason you don't eat it anymore is because the Environmental Protection Agency found you.
And your doctor said if you eat any more, you'd blow up the planet. Just because it's just building up more and more and more.
And
all right, guys.
I mean, I have another food habit thing if you want to hear about it when I was a kid.
Let's end this. Let me just end behind the screen first before we start talking about it, okay?
No, this one's short, I promise. And I want the audience to know I used to do this.
Okay, say it.
It's your funeral.
I used to be obsessed with ketchup. So in middle school at lunch, I would go to the ketchup thing and just start squirting the thing until there was like a massive glob of ketchup on the biggest part of my tray. And I would just eat the ketchup with a plastic knife.
I actually knew somebody else who did that in in elementary school.
My sister still does that.
That's not as bad as you think. There was an initiative.
Disgusting.
There was an initiative here in the UK a few years ago to make school dinners healthier, and Jamie Oliver was involved in it, and they were doing a television documentary on it. And there was a kid who had a tomato ketchup sandwich. And he looked at that and he went, at least that kid's having he genuinely, this was the first time I'd ever heard Jamie Oliver swear because of how disgusting the food was at the school. He literally said, at least our kid's having a fucking vegetable to eat.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that is this all for today.
That is all for this episode behind the
On that
screen.
final brown note,
I'd like to say thank you to some of our guests, Cameron.
If I ever GM, I'm making the heart attack a weapon in the campaign.
All right, guys. This has been
go cook dinner now.
the Pinmeisters signing out.
Goodbye.